Straight from the band. This is Straight from the band. Test. 1, 2, 2. Straight from the band. Hello, internet people. Welcome back to another episode of Straight from the Ben. Well, today you are in for a treat. We had the pleasure of talking with former wrestler and now actor Robert Maillet. Robert has been in films such as 300, Sherlock Holmes, Deadpool 2, and that's just to name a few. We talked about his childhood, his wrestling career, and his now acting career. Robert and I went to school together back years ago, and it had really been years since I've seen him, but it was great to have this fascinating discussion with him. So let's get right into it. Our conversation with actor Robert Maillet. Testing 1, 2.
2, 5, 7.
Test.
2, 5, 7.
Welcome
1,
to Straight from the Band.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Probably the most average podcast ever.
7.
In 3, 2, 1. Al,
Fern?
what's up?
Well, not much.
No,
Not much. It's getting dark early,
it is getting dark.
and I can't find
Winter's
your house
coming.
anymore. I can't find your house anymore.
No, I know. Well, we'll have to put a.
Yeah, you have to put
billboard.
lights out there. Yeah.
All right,
How you doing?
I'm good.
Good?
I'm happy, super
Yes,
happy,
super-
excited
Because
because we have a guest.
a special
Before we
guest.
start, I
Yes.
want you to look at something.
All right.
Look at this. This is a list that I made when we first started talking about doing podcasts and stuff like that. I made my wish list.
Yes.
And I put a list of people that I'd be interested in.
And you did not write that list today.
No,
So
that's
you're
at the
telling
beginning
me
of my
that
book.
This is the beginning.
This is the beginning of my book.
And
Who's the first?
The potential guest.
Who's the very first one?
Number 1, Robert Maillet.
We've peaked.
Woohoo!
We have nowhere to go
We're
from
done.
here. That's it.
He's
This will
here.
be our last podcast. Thank you
He's
very
here.
much. So tonight we have Robert Maillet. And I don't think he needs much of an introduction, especially in these parts. Robert has been a wrestler. He's now acting in movies. He's doing local theater. He's quite known around. So, yeah.
Involved in charity work. In
Yes,
the
very
area.
much.
Can I talk? Or
We're going to let you talk. Absolutely.
Oh yes, we're done.
I'm not
That's
sure,
it.
I'm not sure where,
That's,
should
that's
I
all we
start.
do. So welcome, Robert.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Before we get started, I'll let everybody know that I went to school with Robert. We went through elementary school, high school together.
We were janitors
We were.
for the summer job.
Yeah, we did.
Clean up the wedding receptions.
Yes.
After.
And we did the kind of like a daycare kind of thing with the kids and
That's
stuff
right.
like that.
That's right. we
And
did.
from that, I have a little story. Every once in a while, we would go and I would bring Robert home from work. And at the time, my grandfather had given me this old Ford Ranger. And I mean, when I say old. So Robert, for those of you that know, is almost 7 feet and probably 200, close to
At the time, 250.
250,
270,
yeah.
at the time.
So he would get into my little truck, and Saint-Marty is there's a lot of hills, and just before we get to his house,
I see where that's going.
there is quite a big hill,
Bam.
and more than once, Robert had to step out of the truck, walk up the hill, and I would meet him on top of the hill with my truck because my truck wasn't making to the hill. So that's just. It's just a story. There's
That's
a
a good
few
one.
things that kind of stick in my mind. I don't have that much of a great memory, but
Well,
I
that's
remember
funny
that.
because I don't remember that moment.
Oh yeah,
that's
I remember that.
That's hilarious.
Both of embarrassment and like a good story to tell.
Yeah.
So what about? We're happy to have you. And
Well, can
I
we
guess-
can we start with the official news?
Sure.
I'm probably sure he doesn't want to share it, but we'll share. Happy belated birthday.
Yes, that's
Thank
right.
you.
Yesterday, we were just talking about this before starting. It was big. Can we share the number?
Yes, it's
A big 5-0.
Big 5-0.
It's all over the internet.
It's on,
It's
the
on
internet.
Wikipedia, for Christ's sake.
Yeah. IMDb.
It's hard to
Yeah,
hide.
so yesterday was your birthday.
It was.
Was it a big celebration?
Well, it's funny enough. It coincided with we do a haunted farm tour back home. At home, this is our third year for the 4-H. We raise money for the 4-H. So all the kids, my wife, my daughter, my mom, my family are involved. We have horses too. We have a farm, and we're all dressed up as zombies, vampires. I'm a grave digger. Blah blah.
Oh my
We tell stories.
God.
My wife is she has a lot of lyrics, country old songs
Oh,
lyrics
yes.
in her head, and she takes the lyrics and makes stories out of it. Stories are kind of ghost stories.
Yeah.
And then so we tell stories, and there's a tour, and I'll tell a story, and my wife tells a story. She plays a character, and
So that's to raise money.
So that raised money for the 4-H.
And how many people attend those?
Well, yesterday it wasn't that busy. Actually, it was beautiful weather, but it wasn't that busy. But the last 2 years it was pretty busy. We raised $400.
That's good.
Last year, which is pretty good for
Good.
Mickey's Mills area.
Yeah.
But so yeah, last night was my birthday, and I had to spend most of it outside freezing my butt off. But we went the night before, because every year I go for, I don't do anything big for birthday, but I like to go for a steakhouse.
Mm. Yeah.
So, which I don't go for a steak all the time because it's pricey, so it's like a special occasion. So of course, celebrating my 50th birthday, I wanted a steak.
Yeah.
So we went the night before at the keg, and my wife and I, and celebrated there. And,
Good.
My last day of my 40s,
Yes.
and last night we just went out to supper with my daughter and my wife. And
Okay.
so and then we came back home, and my other daughters, I have four daughters in total, and they got cake, and we had cake.
Nice.
Wished me, they sang happy birthday and blow out the candle. So yeah.
So is
Keep
50,
it small.
Is 50 the most significant number so far? It's the highest number, obviously, but
Well, so far.
yeah, so far.
So
but
far.
but like, was 30 big for you? Was 40?
20 was big for me.
20.
Yeah, I was scared for 20. It's funny because you were in your teens. You think you were in teens forever. You had it made when you were in teens in a way.
Yeah.
No bills to pay.
Yeah.
With your parents.
Yeah.
You go to school, to hang out at school.
Absolutely.
There was some stress at school, of course. High school is always some stress to see. I'm not sure what you want to do in your life, or not do well in your marks and stuff. But no, when it hit 20 was like this is the big turnover. Big,
Yeah.
ooh, 20.
An
I'm
adult.
an adult. I'm a
Yeah.
man now.
Yeah.
Now 30 hit. Oh, and that's another thing. 30. Holy crap. 30.
Yeah.
No, 40 hit me too. 40 was cool though. 40. Because turn 40 was a big deal at the time. But I was doing a movie with Antonio Banderas in Spokane, Washington, and I had my birthday there, and I've had birthday with the cast, with Antonio and all the cast. Celebrated, they bought a cake for me, wishing me a happy birthday. So that was a nice way to
Yeah.
my 40s.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool way.
That's a nice story to say about your 40th
Yeah.
your 40th birthday.
I celebrated with
Antonio
Antonio.
was there. Tony.
I wish I could be there for my 50s, but I have my family, so that's didn't have Antonio with me, but that's all right. But yeah, no, it is a big deal. Of course, it's the, like I said, it's a reminder that
Yeah.
you're not getting younger.
Time is ticking.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. And
So-
yeah.
So talking about age, let's roll the back. Like going back to school days. I remember you, like at a very young age, you were already tall. Like even at elementary school, like
I was taller than my first grade teacher.
Yes.
Jacqueline.
Jacqueline.
Yeah, grade 1.
Yeah.
I was tall. She was a short lady.
Yeah.
In
And I was
grade what?
taller. 1.
Grade 1, you were taller than your teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Wow.
I stood out. Yeah. Stood out.
I would say so.
And I remember being in Monsieur Richard's class
Yeah.
with you. And of course, sort of, I would always sit at the back of the class. 'Cause
Yeah, usually.
nobody would want to sit in back of him for obvious reasons.
Obvious reason.
And I remember Monsieur Richard asking you for 2 dictionaries. The Petit Robert,
Yep.
thick dictionaries. And all he did, he just reached over, and on the shelf grabbed the 2 with one hand, and gave them to to the professor. I was looking at him, and of course, even at that age, even at that age, that must have been in grade 7 or
It's not
8.
impossible, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, grade 8, 7.
And even at that age, like, I mean, his arms were just like twice the size of my head, and so it was. That's again another memory that kind of stuck in my
I
head.
was tall and lean, very
Yeah.
lean. Yeah, was big bone kid.
Yeah.
Was big
Yeah.
bone, but tall, but very lean. Yeah.
You talk a little bit about, like, do you talk about your, because you had gigantism, right?
Well, a little bit of it.
Okay.
People who have gigantism, they keep growing.
Okay.
Like Andre the Giant. That's a good
Never stop.
example. He never
Right.
stopped. He
Okay.
now there's surgeries you can have now, like the Big Show.
Yes.
Remember Big Show? Well, he had the same thing as Andre, but he had surgery to
Okay.
stop it when he was a teen. But still became a giant, of course.
Yeah.
But at least he can live a long time. He's healthy now. He stopped the
Okay.
progress. But Andre never had that opportunity.
Mhm.
I don't think he wanted it or something.
Okay.
But he passed away because of it, because he kept getting bigger and bigger, and his health kind of deteriorated. I don't have that.
Okay.
I do have a little bit of gigantism, maybe.
Okay.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
There's another name for it, which I don't
Okay.
know, but maybe But no, I stopped growing when I was 18.
Okay.
18.
Okay.
They took me to the hospital. The pediatrist at the time, the children's doctor, right? It was concerned because I grew. I was double the other kids my age, so it was a concern. So they took me to the Georges Dumont for a week to test, just to do some testing, blood tests, X-rays, and then they took me to the IWK, Halifax, and a couple weeks there, and I felt bad. There, I felt bad. I felt guilty because I wasn't sick,
Right.
but the other kids were there in the same floor with leukemia.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
sick or whatever.
How
And
old would you have been then?
For 14, 13, 14.
14.
Yeah, yeah. And they never found anything. They didn't find a tumor, nothing. The only thing they found, though, is what age I would stop growing. Between the kneecap, behind the kneecaps, you can tell.
Oh, wow.
There's a
Okay.
gap, and they can tell. Yeah, so 18, 19,
Okay.
they were right. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So
Interesting.
no, I never had the
Okay.
yeah, it's healthy.
So never a complication from your size or your
Complication? No. No,
Okay.
no, not at all.
Good.
Not
good,
at all.
good.
So, because again, going back to when you were young, you always had, because I remember you were shy. When you were, I mean, people
I was, yeah.
wouldn't know
It
you were
made it worse.
shy, gentle. You were very,
It made it worse because I was tall.
yeah. Yeah.
People kept
Yeah,
looking
because
at, staring.
you stand out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stand out, just staring, or even in the school, the little school, the elementary school, people, when I had a haircut, I always had a freaking bad haircut. Like, they cut the hair like that,
Yeah.
And then kids were laughing at me, of course, and because I stood out just
Oh,
because.
they had guts to laugh at you.
Oh,
But
they
that's
did.
the thing, right? Because I
I
remember.
never fought back.
Well, that's that's exactly it. Because I remember you weren't never bullied, but you were.
No,
But
but a little bit. Everybody was bullied.
yeah.
I think every our age.
Yeah.
When you're in school, you're going to be bullied.
Yeah.
From some, a little bit to maybe extreme,
Yeah.
of course. But I was kind of, in a way, we're kind of
Intimidated.
Yeah,
or
Yeah,
intimidated.
because he was shy and he was just gentle. No,
Yeah.
Rabal would never have hurt a fly, and that's the thing, right? I remember,
Could a few, but
but
no,
one
it's
thing
true. It's true. I
Yeah.
was, yeah.
But one thing I knew, because we kind of hung around a little bit and we talked a lot, and I remember you always had this. I always knew you were going to go either, like, you had an interest in science fiction
Yeah,
and the movies, and you were.
I was a big movie guy,
Yeah.
for sure. There
And
was,
I remember you, and he was a very good cartoon artist. Do you still draw?
not too much, but
No.
on occasion.
Okay.
On occasion.
Because I
I did
remember-
draw my wife's horse for last year's Christmas time.
Oh, really?
For Yule. We call it
Nice.
Yule back home. Drawing. So I drew the horse,
Yeah.
her favorite horse, put it on the wall. I have it mounted.
just pencil.
Pencil.
Yeah.
I'm good with pencils. But it's on occasion, not as much as you used to.
Yeah,
But
because I
I
remember
do
at
it.
one point I thought, okay, he's going to draw comics. I thought,
Yeah, I was into it.
Yeah, he was really-
and then
you
the
were good.
frickin' wrestling bug caught me.
Yes.
And then because thinking wrestling, you could make more money
Yeah.
than being an art. I found out artists is tough to make a living.
yeah,
So
at the time, of course, I didn't know, but I thought maybe more opportunities in wrestling. Than
So when did you
drawing.
get the bug for wrestling? Because
Well,
you were at your peak in 98, 99. That's when.
yeah, we did it.
So
yeah.
that's 20 years ago.
Mhm.
So that's late 20s for you.
Yeah, I started with 26, 27 years old in the WWF. I started when I was 20 years old in wrestling.
Okay, locally.
Well, locally in Bouctouche. Maritime Grand Prix wrestling.
And someone noticed you somewhere. Or did you?
Well, no, it did it. Yeah, for sure. When I got the bug, well, I was a wrestling fan I was fascinated by wrestling, local wrestling at first. Grand Prix was watching TV every Saturday. My dad was a fan of it.
Oh yes.
But I was fascinated by the whole thing, and then he came to Sainte Marie and Cocan. I loved it though. It's fun to watch. You know,
Yes.
I got into it. You know, never really got. I think one of my friends or people I hung out with convinced me I could be a wrestler. Yeah, I wasn't really serious about it until we got cable, or until my neighbor Brian, actually our neighbor at the time, he had cable before us, and then he let us watch TV, and it was WWF.
Yeah.
80s, 86, something.
Yeah.
That's where Hulk Hogan was on top, and Macho.
Yes.
The golden
Macho
age.
Man.
The golden age, I think, of
Yes,
wrestling.
yes.
Yeah.
And I was like, and my
Wow.
mouth was open. And was like, what the hell is this? I was so used to local wrestling, and then you saw the big time.
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
wow, that blew me away. And then from there, it kind of inched in my mind, that I could do it. Or maybe if some friends still encouraging me that I can be a wrestler, but I was like fascinated by it was my religion for a long time. Taping wrestling was
Really? Huh?
really into it. Yeah.
So as a
Really.
kid, before then, as a kid, who do you remember? Like Abdullah the Butcher. I remember Abdullah.
Well,
the
Abdullah,
Butcher.
not so much. Abdullah was mostly in Quebec, Montreal, but
Yeah.
he was in the WWF at
Okay,
the
so
time.
who comes to mind when you think about your childhood in wrestling?
You mean local wrestling?
No, what you
Really?
saw on TV or
Well,
what you
well, the first time I saw on TV was Grand Prix Wrestling. It was like Leo Burke, Stephen Petapal.
Oh, yes.
Malumba, or
Yeah,
Human
yeah.
Assassin. So, I mean, yeah, those guys.
Okay.
Well, WWF, you got those Hogan and all those guys, too.
Yeah.
But first time I experienced pro wrestling was local guys, you know. I thought. And then, I wanted, even in school, when I graduated, I put in the class of 89, actually. I graduated 89. But to say I was going to be a pro wrestler after.
Really?
And I did that. Yeah,
And you did.
I did, but it took a while. It took a year. It took a year after I graduated. And I didn't know where to go to.
Yeah. It's hard.
But in the Maritimes, there's not a lot of places to go.
Yeah.
To get trained. Yeah, but I knew there's local wrestlers, like I said, Petitpaw. Stephen was a big star in Grand Prix Wrestling. He lived in Shediac area. And I went to see Emile Dupree, which is the promoter. And I went to see him. I thought I wasn't ready for it. Maybe I wasn't shaped for it. I was tall, but not most. Wasn't filled up. You know. But I went to see Petitpaw, which he plays hockey in the winter. Plays in Bouctouche. Went to see him. Asked him if he could train me. And at the time, he didn't. This is winter time. He didn't have time. But he remembered me though. At the end of that, this is 1990. At the end of this summer, a lot of the wrestlers of that season left for other territories. So Stephen remembered me, and he called me up. 2 other guys from Moncton as well, and I got the call. Yeah, it was very exciting.
Yes.
Finally, because it was like a 3-4 year deal for me to wanted to be a wrestler, and then it's bugging my parents or my family or their friends. And finally, it was finally happening.
Yeah, but that's still locally.
Still locally.
So tell me about the day where you get the call, or however you learned that
that's from another
WW.
local wrestler too, because I started. Like I said, this is 5 years after I started Grand Prix. Did a couple of years for Grand Prix. Did overseas stuff. I had an opportunity to go overseas, Japan, Mexico.
It's big in Japan, isn't it?
It's huge in Japan.
Huge.
It's a big. There's 14 promotions in Japan. 2 big ones, All Japan and New Japan, are 2 big promotions, like WWF size. But no, when I got started, I got the call. When I got the call, it was from Leo Burke. Well, Leo Burke is a well-known American wrestler. He's from Cook, and his family, his brothers. At the time, he was working for the WWF as a trainer in Calgary, working in Bret Hart's
Yes.
Hart house. And he told Brett about me, and Brett was interested to see me, and I got a call from Leo. I remember that night very well, November '96. Yeah,
Wow.
Yeah, and there's a call you want to hear.
Yeah.
Because at the time, I was working bouncing. Wrestling was slowing down a bit. Didn't know where else to go. And Maritimes wasn't as strong at the time. Died down in the Maritimes. And so I was bouncing clubs and stuff. And then, so when I got the call, saying Bret Hart wanted to see me in Calgary. All right, let's go. Let's go.
Yes.
I flew to Calgary.
Sharpshooter.
Yeah. Flew to Calgary. Then to meet Bret. And which was very exciting.
Was he
Very
nice?
cool. Yeah.
Nice guy.
Very reserved guy. Very soft-spoken guy. But yeah, it was cool. He was a nice guy. And I spent a month in his home.
Really?
Well, I stayed in his sister-in-law's house, actually, a couple miles away. What my wife wasn't heavy thrilled with, but his ring was set up over his indoor pool. They had an indoor pool.
Yeah.
The ring was set up over it. This is in December. Yeah. And,
Wow.
I spent a month working out there with Leo, which I knew Leo. Leo was one of my mentors in Grand Prix Wrestling, so Leo knew me, knew my limitations as well, of course. But it worked out at the end of the month. Bret was happy with the results. He wanted to know if I could make it as a wrestler, and so all the basic stuff: headlocks, takeover, lockups, and stuff like that. How to take a bump, fall. Some basic stuff you need to know.
Yeah.
And then so he was thrilled. And then from there he flew me down to. We went back to Christmas time to vacation, of course, and after that flew me down to Stamford, Connecticut. And Stamford is where the headquarters for the WWF in Stamford, and that's where Vince and his office are, and the TV stations, TV facilities, studios not far from there too. And then that's where I met my partners from the Truth Commission. So I met my buddies there.
Yes.
And then met Vince too. Met Vince for the first time. It was kind of intimidating. It was pretty, holy crap.
Yeah, eh?
Holy shit moment. It's a holy shit moment.
Was he nice?
Well, he was all right. Yeah, he was very business.
Very business.
Very business guy. Yeah, he liked my look. I remember he liked my look. Yeah, I had a good look for him. Yeah, he likes big guys.
Yeah.
He does. And he liked my facial looks.
Good.
Yeah. So it's a good start.
Yeah.
But he said with Truth Commission we had our marching thing. We marched to the ring. So he went to military school when he was a kid. So he knew about marching. So he basically told us, put your marching, practice some more marching, and stuff like that. That's the first advice there.
I remember you as Kurgan. What was your first name? Because you had a few.
The Interrogator.
The Interrogator.
Which wasn't a name, it was a title, because we were kind of in military.
Yeah.
Militia from South Africa.
Yeah.
So we were the Interrogator, we were Recon, he had the tank, he had the Commandant, which is our leader, which was an actor from South Africa. That was his idea of the Truth Commission. He pitched it to Bret Hart when Bret Hart was in South Africa touring. So and then we had Sniper, titles, mostly call names. But the Kurgan came about when, we finally got going. Like I said, we went to Memphis. It was the developmental territory at the time. Memphis, Tennessee was his USWA, which was owned by Jerry the King Lawler. So we were there for 4 months.
Really?
Working every day, small national armories, gymnasiums, 450 to 300 people, just working out, just training, to get some experience how to work together. And then after 4 months, it was a freaking long time in Memphis, away from the family. It was tough. Yeah. It was no guarantee we were going to get called, though. There was no guarantee. So it was a little bit of a stress thing. I guess. For 4 months without, I'm showing my age, but this is before we had iPads and iPhones. And no FaceTime, no Skype.
Yes.
I mean, I called after.
But that's it.
Yeah, that's it. I forgot my wife's face after a while.
Yes.
But it was the only way. It was a sacrifice I had to make. It was the only way how to get in. It was the only opportunity I would have to get in. That was my second time into the opportunity, tryout. Yeah. First time was back 5 years early in '91. They flew me to Utica, New York for TV taping, and I wasn't ready for it. It was just after we finished the season here in the Maritimes, and I wasn't ready for it. So basically, they'll call us, we'll call you type of deal, And so I thought that was my last time, with them. But 5 years later, I got another call, and it worked out. It worked out. After 4 months in Memphis, we did our tryout in Monday Night Raw and for TV taping. It was kind of our tryout match in front of 7,000 people. And then we were nervous, but we knew what we could do. We worked together for 4 months. We knew our, our
So it was
strengths.
the whole gang went forward.
Except for one.
Except for one.
That was Tank. Was his name is Mike Halleck. He was there before with the WWF as Mantor, half man, half bull, and he had some issues with him. The office had some issues with him at the time, so he wasn't thin ice. Anyways, wasn't happy with his performance in the match, so he was replaced by Luc Poirier. Luc Poirier was from Quebec City, well-known wrestler in Europe and Germany, is known as Rambo for some reason. Good guy. We gelled very well because Mike was a hard guy to get along with. Very bitter guy at the time, and for me it was very hard on me because I was still kind of green a bit. But having Luke there, who's a Frenchman too from Quebec, and we gelled, and we got along. Became better team. Yeah, good. But there you go.
But then you went, because after that, fast forward a little bit, you went to Kurgan. Kurgan would have been your...
Kurgan happened.
At the peak of your career?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, Kurgan happened. We did our stint with the Truth Commission for 3-4 months. At the time, it was all gangs, with the DOA, the Nations of Domination. Yeah, DX as well, of course, all
good
gangs.
Old days.
Yeah. Los Boricos.
Yes.
But and then after a while, they were done with the gangs. So and then they liked the look because I was almost 7 feet tall, big guy. They wanted an opponent for the Undertaker. So they kind of separated me from the rest of the gang, and they baptized me Kurgan. And Kurgan, they thought about a lot of names. Kurgan, they took Kurgan because of the Highlander. Remember the movie, the 1986 movie, The Highlander?
Yes.
The villain, the Kurgan,
Yes.
Clancy Brown, the actor.
Yeah.
And so they took the name from that. And, so it fit. I like Kurgan. Kurgan's a solid, strong name, you know. And so they baptized, because Interrogator didn't go well. Interrogator was a title, so you need a name.
Yeah.
So Kurgan, they put the Kurgan there. And then Kurgan, and then they put me as singles, but of course they had a mouthpiece. I wasn't good on the mic, like The Rock or Stone Cold would. They have a gift for that.
Yeah.
But they had to have somebody to speak for me, and they had Commandant was let go because he's an actor, not a professional wrestler. So every time he would fall, he would hurt himself.
Yes.
So it was a liability.
Yeah.
So he was replaced by a wrestler from Winnipeg, actually, but he was a world-renowned wrestler. But he's known for his talking on the mic. It was Don Callis. But he was known as the Jackal.
So
Jackal was kind of this cult leader, David Koresh type of leader.
Kind of your manager kind of thing.
Manager or cult leader-ish.
Yeah.
It would speak for me. He got a lot of heat talking.
He
was very good, actually. Yeah.
So what was your favorite match of all times that you were in?
You mean for WWF all the time?
Well,
WWF is very limited. I had some great moments.
Yeah.
I mean, this is only 2 years of my career.
Yeah.
I almost went to 20 years almost.
Yeah.
But WWF, I mean, I had some great moments. Not singles, I would say SummerSlam we were with the Oddities, right? I was part of the Oddities.
Yes.
Golga, John Tenta, and John Silva. And we were 3 against 4 against Kaintai, 4 Japanese guys. That was the joke. 3 big guys against 4 guys, but just they look like midgets against each other. That's the joke. SummerSlam in Madison Square Garden.
Wow.
So it was a big show, big match.
Yeah.
And it was very hard. I was nervous to pull that match through. It was kind of a comedy match, but it got over very well, and all the bosses, the agents were happy at the end. So that was very memorable, for sure. What else? I did a couple of Royal Rumbles. I did WrestleMania too. WrestleMania was kind of a weird thing. It was I did a run-in. You call it a run-in? It was a battle royal, tag team battle royal.
Yes, okay.
This is the battle. This is the WrestleMania with Stone Cold and Shawn Michaels.
Gotcha.
Shawn Michaels,
Yes. Okay.
Tyson was involved as a referee.
Yeah.
That was
Mike Tyson.
Mike Tyson was Mike Tyson was a special special referee.
Oh my God.
That was in Boston at the Fleet Center. Tag team battle royal. So all the big tag teams at the time, and if one of the members of the tag team gets eliminated, the other guy has to go too. His partner has to go.
Yeah.
That's the rule.
Yeah.
So my former members of the Truth Commission were a tag team called Armageddon. They were
Okay.
called Luke and Barry, and then I get in. I wasn't supposed to be in a battle royal, but I do a run in. I go in, 30, 40 guys. You know, in the middle of this freaking guys, all big oiled and stuff, and I go in and I take one of my, I think it was Luke. I think I just throw him out outside the ring over the top. So the other guy gets eliminated too, and that was it.
That was it.
Boom, 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 boom. And I got a pretty good pay out of that one because it was WrestleMania.
Yeah.
I think I got paid like $7,000 for just to do it.
Wow.
It was a good pay. I didn't have to take a bump. You know, it was a rush, though. I remember very well the entrance. You're behind the curtain. When they tell you to go, you go.
Yeah.
And then we go out, and then they got the crowd. It's a WrestleMania crowd, so it's a different vibe than a Monday Night Raw.
Yeah.
WrestleMania is the big deal. It's the biggest show of the year. It's a big. So I felt it. I felt it though. Even though I only had 2 minutes. Boom.
Yeah, that's
They
it.
didn't even see me only on replays. They saw it on the replay. Thank God. You know.
Yeah.
Because there were so many guys in that ring. So it's very
Interesting.
exciting, though. I brought my family up to see the match, too. It's very cool. Yeah.
How do you prep for matches? I've always been
Warm
curious.
up.
but how,
Warm
do
up.
you are you in the ring with your opponent, or are you sitting at a table with the opponent and say, okay, so I'm going to go down the rope and I'm going to go up the rope and I'm going to
Well,
I'm going to choke slam you?
It depends on the level of experience you have. If you're a new guy, a green guy, you just started, you probably go in the ring and practice, I guess, during the day before the show.
But not with the opponent.
Well, sometimes, yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes, yeah, for sure. If you know, to get moves over, to get through stuff you're not sure about, you want to get some practice. But normally, if you're a veteran,
Yeah.
you will go in. Well, TV tapings are different though. TV tapings like Monday Night Raw, WrestleManias, those are prepared days and days before.
Yeah.
This is the big show. They don't want to screw it up. They want
Yeah.
to sure you're prepared. Before a normal house show, like a non-televised show, like you
Yeah.
have to go to Moncton,
Yeah.
for instance.
Yeah.
You will just get there an hour before the show, and then you'll find out who you're going to work with. There's a sheet where you're going to work with. Where's the point of the show you'll be? Third match, fourth match, main event, whatever. And then the booker, the promoter, but usually the booker, the agent, will tell you who goes over, who wins, who loses, whatever they want, a brawl, whatever. It's an important thing to know first. And then you know who's going to win and stuff. And then you talk to the guy you're going to work with. You know your role. If you're a heel, baby face,
Yeah.
you know that. But you work out a program. You work out a story to build up to the finish they want. So you tell a story.
Wait.
Theater.
Are you saying that wrestling is fake?
It's not fake.
You ever been to YouTube?
It's choreographed. It's not fake. Because
No,
like,
I'm kidding.
But no, it's that's what we do. Some guys like veterans like Ric Flair. An example, Ric Flair is one of those old veterans where you have to know the finish. That's important, but that's all you need to know. If you go in the ring with a guy like Ric Flair, he will control the match, call the match for you. He will.
so there's whispers and there's
No, for sure. You'll
Yeah.
never know. You'll never know. There's ways to do it.
yeah. So when they throw him in the ropes, they go, okay, so you're coming back.
Yeah, but without making it so obvious, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And he'll control the narrative of the story. He'll control the match. The heels traditionally would control the match.
Interesting.
Yeah,
The secrets of wrestling.
Well, it's one time would be hard for me to say it now.
Yeah.
It's entertainment now.
It's exposed
I mean,
now.
It's exposed, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's yes.
Internet killed wrestling for sure.
Yeah, and it's changed so much in the last 30
It
years.
did.
Yeah.
It did.
It's
Yeah,
like I don't watch it anymore.
No.
When my kids were younger, like I'm talking 10 years ago, they were really excited to go to Moncton when the WWE came to Moncton. Now, if I happen to stop on the wrestling channel when I'm clicking at home, they say, "Seriously, Dad, you're watching wrestling?"
Right.
I said, "But you used to love it." He said, "Yeah, 10 years ago."
But it's true, like the golden years, it's like you mentioned earlier, the golden years, I think, was, Hulk Hogan, Macho Man, right up
It
until
was very
The
exciting.
Rock.
It
and
was very exciting.
all
Well,
those years.
it wasn't that. It was going in like the 80s, but then the end of the 80s and the early 90s, it dipped a bit. It was did a couple of scandals. One of them hurt, steroid scandal.
Oh
at the
yes,
time.
yes,
Vince
steroids.
got
Even
it. They went
Hulk
to
Hogan
court.
was involved.
Hogan
in
was
that.
involved.
Yes.
So they were in trouble.
Yeah.
But the end of the '90s, where like Stone Cold rose up,
Yes.
and The Rock.
The Rock. If you
It was
smell.
there was the Attitude Years, they call it.
Yes,
And there was unbelievable. And I was there at the perfect time. I was there at perfect time for that. Because they were fighting against WCW, right? They were the rival, the Ted Turner's company, WCW. So it was Monday Night Nitro and Monday Night Raw at war.
Yes.
The ratings war.
Yes.
And it was very exciting.
That
to
was
be
good
part
for
of
everybody.
It was good for amazing.
For the business and for
all
viewers.
shows were sold out. Everything was
Yes.
sold out. People would stop talking. We'll start talking about the next day at work about what happened tonight on Monday Night Raw. It was very exciting. Now, it's different now, sure. But
I remember
There's more
with my
talking
friends.
than wrestling.
Yeah, I remember a few of my friends, like, we would watch, like, Monday Night Raw, like,
Oh yeah.
religiously. And it's
Oh
like,
yes.
you know,
Absolutely.
Really,
it's for me very exciting for me because, from my point of view, of course, I was minutes before the show starts. So when Monday Night Raw, it depends. At the time, they did Monday Night Raw live, but on next Tuesday, they would do a Raw taping for the Monday after. That's how they would do it to save cost and money.
Yeah.
Now they do it live every Monday now.
Yeah.
It's changed now. But when it's exciting, though. When you're backstage, you think about you're part of the show. You think about your match. You're going to work. You have your match in your head. You work it out memorize it, and then you hear the music.
The crowd.
The crowd
your
gets
music,
nuts.
Your
The crowds
entrance,
are unbelievable because there's only a curtain separating
Yes.
the boys backstage, and the audience.
Yes.
So you hear the crowd. And then the pyrotechnics. At the time it was fireworks.
Yeah.
Those were loud, but it's exciting to
Yes.
to
The
feel
builder.
that.
Yes.
It's something else.
So tell me, in 97, 96, 97, 98, you're married or you have a girlfriend, right?
My fiance.
Okay, so where do you live when you're in the WWE, and
Sure.
and when do you come home?
I live in home. I still live. My base was still in Saint-Marie de Camp.
Really?
Yeah, I flew to Moncton. My base was in Moncton. I flew to Moncton. But worse, the bad days were not bad days, but the dreadful days were we did a lot of shows out west in California,
Yeah.
BC.
Yeah.
And that was I hated those. I loved
The
going
east
there.
side, yes.
Just coming back home. It was
Yes.
because these early morning flights, and you come home around 10 o'clock at night, and 4 o'clock the time zones there difference, and you were tired all day flying, waste of a day.
Yeah,
But that was my base. They flew me
yeah, but when you went for your wrestling, weren't
hotels.
you like yeah
Hotels.
for a week at a time, 2 weeks at a time?
Yeah, a week or 2 weeks. With every different
On the
town,
bus with the
different town.
boys?
Not on the bus. We would. Japan or Europe. You do go on the bus tours and stuff. Of
Yeah.
course, all of them on the big bus tour. But in the States, we would rent cars. To save costs, I was going with my gang, my partners.
Really?
Edge or Christian, Canadian boys. Canadian cliques.
Yeah.
And we would rent a car, all three of us together, and then and even hotels to divide the money for hotels, save money.
Wow.
And then we rent cars, and then it's hard because they didn't have Google Maps like we have now. Going to a strange city like New York, it was like you had a rental map in front of you, not very detailed.
Yeah.
We go down the window. Okay, do you know where the gardens are?
Yeah.
Madison Square Garden, or it was tough. So
Yeah.
we get lost sometimes. Yeah, we got lost in Detroit. I remember going back from the show. We wrestled in Detroit, Joe Louis Arena. We're going back. We went the wrong part of town. I think the whole city of the wrong part of town. Where we got scared,
I've heard.
It's a rough city. No, that's how you do it. The flights are all taken care of. The office would take care of the flights. So you just have to show up, rent a car, book the hotel, find the arena, find the restaurant, nearest restaurant. Gym's important.
Yeah, you got to go to gym.
Well, the TV tapings were very, very, very intense. For Monday Night Raw, for instance, you had to be there at noon or 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Everybody had to be there because it's preparation doing TV tapings. It's important to do. And so, we basically had to stay there all day. It was boring. It's pretty boring seeing in a building like that. So we would sneak out to go to the gym.
Yeah.
A lot of boys.
So it looks more glamorous from the outside than
It
is
does.
in the
It's
inside.
not. It's not. My wife came with me for that weekend, for WrestleMania weekend, and she didn't like it.
Huh?
No, because it's early, a lot of driving,
It's work.
early days.
Yeah.
Well, it's grueling. It's no glamour to it.
Huh.
Life on the road. I loved it though. It's an adventure.
Well,
But
yeah.
it's stressful. You're tired. You don't eat well. So but I loved it though. I loved the whole being part of the company like that, and made a lot of friends, and it was like an adventure. It really was for me.
Because after you finished with the WWE, then you went into you still wrestled like in Japan, and you toured.
Yeah,
all
went
over the
Japan.
world.
Did have a lot of independent stuff. Japan, Germany.
How when did you? At what point did you go into movies? Like, were you still wrestling when you?
I
started
still
movies?
wrestled at the time in Maritimes. I did some wrestling here and there. In movies, my first acting gig was in Halifax, actually, for a TV episode called Lex. It was Lex TV series.
Yeah,
Kind of
I remember watching them.
it's very weird series. It's kind of Star Trek with a lot of sexual innuendos.
Yes.
Very big hit in Germany, but it's a weird show.
That's a great
They
description.
traveled
huh?
in this giant bug. They look like
Yes.
a giant fly just for
Yeah,
their
it
spaceship.
was this head
Yeah.
that would just be there, just a
No, it's
robot
strange.
head or
It's
something.
it's
How many seasons?
4 or 5. I think it went
Yeah.
for.
Really?
Yeah, it was all shot in Halifax.
And was it a regular gig for you, or just
No, just one episode.
just one
Yeah,
episode?
yeah, it was my first gig,
Okay.
and I was
How did that happen? Did you have an? Yeah.
well. I had an agent, but the way I found my agent is one of the clients, an actor, who was a friend of my in-laws. My in-laws were living in Halifax at the time, and the actor was, I forget his name. His name is Richard. He was a regular on the Trailer Park Boys, and he passed away just 4 or 5 years ago now.
Okay.
But he saw a wrestling match, a show I did in Halifax for him. Anyways, he came after. He talked to me afterwards. Said, "Rob, you should go into acting. You have to look for it. You have to play a bad guy or whatever. You have to. You're being the man." And I never thought about it seriously before, but I thought acting was so far away from me.
Yeah.
I thought, well, why not? He referred to me to his agent out of Halifax, and so I went to her, and she ripped me for a couple of times. I was a fish out of water for that one.
Yeah.
Auditions at the time, I had to go to Halifax at a casting office in Halifax. I had to take the bus because at the time, sometimes I had to take the bus to go there. So 3-4 hours when you get there about noon. And then they were stressed out and wasn't ready for it. It was a different world, acting than wrestling for me. It's to be in a character and memorizing lines. So I went to a lot of those auditions that didn't work out. But one of them, I got a couple of gigs out of that one. And one's for Lex and the other's for Liarcracy, which is from Comedy Central. Lasted for 2 seasons. It's a spoof on A&E's biography. It was hosted by Leslie Nielsen, which he did his stuff before me, so I never had a chance to meet him. But we're credited together.
Oh, nice.
But no, so it was a comedy, and I played a wrestler, so typecasting there.
Yeah.
But it was fun. It was fun, And then I hated driving. I think I discouraged. I just hated going to auditions and not getting the gig. It was kind of getting rejected. Screw that, for a few years, I went to this full-time job. I had a full-time job back here in Bouctouche, just to pay the bills, And then I got the call from stunt guys from Montreal that were working on a film called 300. There you go. There you go. And the way they found me is the stunt guys, the local stunt guys, they were trying to find this guy, this stunt actor, to play this big guy role, this uber immortal role, big monster, big fight scene, right? So they went to Jacques Rougeau,
Oh yeah.
the Mountie, right?
Yeah.
Well-known wrestler in Quebec.
Yes.
He had his wrestling school.
Yeah.
They went to see him, see if he knew anybody. A wrestler, right? Who could do his own stunts, right?
Yeah.
And I knew Jacques for a while, so Jacques referred to me to give me my contacts, my number. And they were trying to call me, leaving me messages. And the messages they were dropping, it was like, hey, Robert, would you be interested in working in a movie with gladiators shooting in Montreal? And that was it. They didn't say who they were, what studio they were. So I thought it was like Montreal. Who does a movie in Montreal? Like soft porn movie. You know, that's in my head, like low budget. So I ignored the messages.
Gladiators,
Yeah. And then where's that going?
That's good.
So Rougeau, finally after 4 or 5 days, Rougeau calls me, Robert, you should fucking call back to them back.
Yeah.
It's Warner Brothers. You know,
Warner Brothers.
Warner Brothers,
Whoops.
two
Ding,
words.
ding,
One
ding, ding, ding.
And I thought I screwed up my chance, fucked up my chance there, my opportunity. And then call them back, and they were still interested.
Good.
Yeah, good.
So
Yeah,
did you
very
have
good.
to audition for that?
Yeah, they flew me down to Montreal for 1 day. They flew me.
And you have to audition.
And anyway, an audition. No lines. They just wanted to know if I was big enough for the part.
Yeah.
It was very exciting. They flew me out to the training facility. All the stunts and actors were all training as Spartan shape.
Yeah.
And it was pretty impressive to watch. You know, and they wanted to know, this is where I was working my night shift in Fantech. I was a steel metal worker.
Yeah.
Machine operator, and I was working night shift. So basically, I never slept. When I flew to Montreal, I didn't have the chance to sleep because I worked night shift. So I was trying to concentrate. I was basically burnt out. You know.
Yes.
I thought I was going to do the gig because I was or didn't have sleep. So they wanted to know if I could take a fall on mats, take a punch, you know, and then playing with a wooden sword, coordination, blah, 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 blah. And then from there, I met the producers on set. So I went to the set where they had the Spartan Village. It was pretty cool, very exciting.
So was that all shot in Montreal?
No, it was also in Montreal.
I did not know
In
that.
the studio in Montreal.
The things we learn on Straight from the Bend.
Tell you.
I know. and then they said, okay, the stunt coordinator and the producer said, okay, we're going to talk about you. We're going to just wait a minute. We'll talk about to hire me or not, to hire me or not to hire. So basically, they went. First of all, they told me to take off my shirt. It's my physique, and I was told recently that they're not supposed to do that. They're not supposed to do that. That's like,
To ask you to
take
your
our shirt in front
off.
of the public or the producers because it's the whole,
Well,
Me Too
yes.
thing.
Well, that's a
You got
whole-
me too'd.
Yes,
You got me too.
yes.
It's it's embarrassing enough to take a
Yeah.
shirt, you know. But and then okay, well, I'll talk. Okay, just give us a minute. Basically, talk about my faith to be in the movie or not to be in the movie. So I remember it was the middle of the set, you know, and then they went to the corner of the wall, talking
Really?
about to hire me or not. And it was like, okay, I better enjoy this moment because this could be my last time on a Hollywood set. You know.
Wow.
Then they came back slowly, and then okay,
That's it.
the role is yours.
Wow.
Yes.
And how long did
Well,
you shoot?
I had to have permission time off from the boss
Yes.
because I was still a full-time employee,
Yes.
so that was another deal.
Yeah.
And he was cool about it. And then it took 2 months, almost 2 months, 5 weeks of rehearsals, just to fight coordinating.
So that's not shooting. That's just rehearsal.
rehearse, and then 7 weeks, 7 days of filming. 7 days filming.
Wow.
Of shoot days. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
And those days of shooting, are they grueling? Like, is it
Long
it 6,
hours.
7?
Well, I had 4 or 5 hours of prosthetics to prep me. So early call. It was always early call because of 5 hours of prepping. Because it was all painted prosthetics, scars, 24 something scars all over me. So it took time. And so they asked me to sleep with it one night. After I was done filming, the makeup guys told me if I could sleep with the makeup on to save time the next day. So luckily, one of the stunt guys, who's a friend of mine now, is the greatest stunt coordinator. I just recently worked with him, actually. He saw what was happening. He made sure that I was on the card, on the clock. This is still paid for it, sleeping in the hotel. Because technically I was still working. I was still in makeup. I was still in my costume, right? And I slept. I had to put baby powder on the bed, not to stick to it, because I was covered in pain and in latex.
Yeah,
I got
yeah.
there 2, 3 in the morning. We finished late, 2, 3 in the morning.
Oh my God.
Shooting all night and all day. Still 16-hour days. It was 4 or 5 hours of prepping, and then you're there for 14, 15 hours on set.
Wow.
Yeah. So long days of
So that was like
2 days of makeup. So after the second day, I was very happy.
Yeah.
They take it off.
And when do you get to see your scenes? Do you see it like the rest of us when we see the movie?
To put it all together?
Yeah.
It took, we shot that in 2005, October, November, that winter. And the movie came out in March of 07. So a whole year.
And that's the first
Year
time
and
you
a half.
saw yourself.
First time I saw the whole thing. Yeah, I saw trailers before. When I do movies, they cut you sometimes.
Yes.
I've been cut before.
Yeah.
And other stuff. That's part of it, because when they shorten it for story purposes, whatever. That's the whole part. And so I wasn't sure if it was going to be in the movie or not. And then you saw trailers, finally trailers coming out, and then you see in the trailer. Even that sometimes, not guaranteed to be in the movie. But I saw posters. They got individual posters, one for Leonidas, one for the Queen, one for me, for Zuber. And so, that's a good chance I'll be in the movie. So now I can tell my friends to come along, tell my family.
Yes.
Pretty cool to see all my friends, my family. Nervous. I didn't know how it was going to. You got your movie in your mind how it was going to look, but it's totally different than it's going to be on screen, of course. But I was very happy how it turned out. See my head decapitated, get stabbed in the eye.
Yeah.
Everybody cheered after I got decapitated. My friends cheered, but the other people who didn't know what the hell was going on was like, why are they cheering for?
Because it's our friend.
Exactly. No, it's very cool. It's very exciting. And the movie did huge. It was a huge movie.
Yes.
So
It
it's
did.
very cool. The way I ended my WWF career as a clown-ish.
Yeah.
It was kind of a redemption. Going to the movies, being this badass
And start
monster.
with this big one.
Yeah, and starting this big movie.
Yeah.
So to this day, people recognize me from that. Even though I'm covered in makeup, I still recognize me from that movie. Yeah, it's very cool.
Did you get the bug from that experience?
I did.
Yeah.
I didn't have an agent though, because at the time my agent in Halifax, I didn't have her at the time, so I was all on my own, and I didn't know where to go. What agents? It's hard to find an agent. There's so many agents. He's trying to find the right one for it. And then Sherlock Holmes came about because of 300, and I was still on my own, doing it all on my own, because I was used to doing it on my own in wrestling. But sometimes it wasn't that a good thing, because
So you mean when you were in wrestling, you didn't have a manager?
No, most wrestlers didn't have it, and I never had it. I do my own bookings, but I didn't really set my own fees sometimes. I'm not a good negotiator. I wouldn't be a good car salesman.
Your title wasn't your title? No.
The interrogator.
The interrogator. No, yeah.
What was it, Katie?
Not the negotiator.
Yeah, that's a good one. Interrogator. But it took a few years before I found an agent. By the time I did Pacific Rim, I found an agent, and I've been with her for, my God, it'll be 8 years now. 8 years this year. Yeah, which is great.
Good.
Yeah,
Just looking when I was looking, I was doing a little bit of research and stuff, and I looked at your IMDb, and I mean, I knew a lot of the movies that you've been in. I've watched a lot of them, but I was looking at the credit, the movie that you've been in, shows and movies. You've done quite a bit.
Yeah,
You're a
I was
busy
fortunate.
guy.
Right place, right time, right height.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I was very lucky, very fortunate to get the roles I had. Worked on. Sometimes you do a movie that doesn't do well, or it kind of goes hiding between cracks, or nobody sees, but it gives you a great opportunity afterwards, open doors for you, like The Big Bang. The Big Bang is with Antonio Banderas, the one I did 10 years ago when I turned 40 in Spokane. I played this Russian boxer, former Russian boxer, who gets out of prison after he kills his promoter. So he's accused of murdering him to his prison time, and then somebody else takes the blame. So I come out of prison, but I fall in love with this girl. This is how the movie starts. Fall in love with this girl, this stripper.
Stripper.
She's a stripper in the movie, but writing love letters in prison. So I got out of prison. I want to find her. Well, her name is Lexi Persimmon. That name is always in my head now. But so I hired this private detective. This is Antonio Banderas plays him. And there's also missing diamonds involved too. It's a heist movie, kind of an homage to neo-noir films like the Humphrey Bogart movies, detective movies.
Yeah.
So this great role. I had an amazing cast. I worked with Snoop Dogg, who was in it. Snoop Dogg. Sam Elliott.
Yes.
He was the villain of the film. As
Really?
Well. This eccentric billionaire that built this huge particle collider under New Mexico. Crazy movie. Amazing cast, huge cast, but the movie didn't do well. So it was the indie film. It went to DVD.
Yeah.
Was panned by critics, beautifully shot, though. But I
Yeah.
love my role in it, though. But it took one director to see that movie, and it would be Guillermo del Toro. Saw that movie, and he liked my performance and liked my look, I guess. He offered me a role in Pacific Rim. And then from Pacific Rim, he offered me the role as the master on the Strain, on his TV series. So it opened
Boom,
doors.
boom, boom.
From that small movie, had some great opportunities.
Well,
But on Big Bang, you had you had a lot of speaking.
Yes,
on that
there's
compared
this
to,
Russian,
a lot
this
of
Russian, yeah, very emotional. Wouldn't say he's a bad guy. He was a very emotional guy, a sociopath, I would say. He would just kill people just to get to his girlfriend. He would kill bad people, mostly. But he's very violent because of his history as a boxer.
Yeah.
But he was very emotional. He wants to find his love of his life. And at the end of the film, he gets his heart broken at the end. I won't tell you the end, but he gets his heart broken.
I'll go watch.
So it's very dramatic role.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's good.
I'm very, very proud of that role. And
So
then I
would-
played the star Russian in Pacific Rim as well.
So would you say that's your favorite, or
It would be,
your
yes,
favorite?
but Big Bang would be my favorite for sure,
Yeah.
because it was a great opportunity.
Yeah.
Not as a monster, play this monster and do like the 300 style, but as an actor, as a dramatic
Yeah,
role.
yeah.
The height was important. They needed a 7 feet tall guy to play that role. It was loosely based on this Russian boxer. It was 7 feet tall almost.
Yeah.
He fought Holyfield. It's loosely based on that guy. So they needed physicality in that role, but they needed somebody who could pull it off. And
Did you ever take acting lessons or
No.
anything since you started?
my
No.
pro wrestling career was my acting lesson.
That's
Anyway.
it.
Which is not a good way to go, not a good way to, wrestling is, you play characters that's over the top.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
project yourself,
Yes.
Either you're really
Yes.
angry or you're in pain.
Yes.
But very, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You project yourself like theater. Films, you got to keep it minimal because camera's right in your face. Keep it natural, minimalize. So it's very hard for me at first. It's
And you
challenging,
can't
very
look,
challenging.
You can't look at the camera.
It depends. Sometimes you can. It depends on the scene.
Most movies, like
No, you can't. Sure.
Depends
Yeah.
if you're doing Deadpool. If you're doing
Yeah.
Deadpool, you can look
You
right
got the
at
fourth.
the
You
camera.
got the fourth wall. You got the fourth wall.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to look camera for obvious reasons. Sometimes
yeah.
for whatever scenes. But no, normally you can't see the camera. But you get used to that. Too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
There's 50 people behind the camera too. If you concentrate on the role, on the scene, on
Yeah.
the words you memorize. But not only that, I got no problem memorizing lines now. After a while, it sticks to you. But it's just to come out naturally as a character. That's the other thing.
Yes, yes, yes.
To make it look natural, make it not look so obvious.
Do you punch your colleagues very often?
Well, like tonight?
Fern.
That's a wrap.
That's a wrap. No, but I read. Actually, I didn't read. I heard a good story about you and Sherlock Holmes. And
I work in Pays de Sagouin.
Did Robert meet your fist too quickly?
Yes, he did. I work in the Pays de Sagouin, back in Boctouche, and every day I have my little hut, my little cabin with all my pictures, memorabilia, and I tell my story. And every day, 8 times or 10 times a day, I tell that particular incident.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes.
I thought I was being original. I guess I'm not.
You're not.
I guess I'm not.
You're not.
All right. So for
You're
the 98 people who never heard your story,
That's right.
you're rehearsing. I think
No, it wasn't rehearsal.
It wasn't
filming.
rehearsal. You were shooting.
Filming, yeah.
All right. So go ahead.
Well, we were in the dock. If you've seen the movie,
Yes, I've seen the movie.
Dockyard. It was
Yeah.
in the dockyard.
Yeah.
At the
I
end of our
remember.
big fight,
Yeah.
it was a huge fight, right? And it was at the shipyard area, the dockyard, and we were filming. It was a long 3-4 days to shoot that. It's a long process, very complicated stuff to do, to shoot that, and then I think because we added so much stuff to the fight. Robert Downey just likes to improvise. He'll add stuff to it. We would rehearse a fight without him with his stunt double because he would be busy working, acting.
Yeah.
So we had this fight in mind. Boom. Okay. Then we go on from the gym rehearsal to the set. Oh, Robert, we show it to Robert. Oh, he wants to do it his way. And then Guy Ritchie, the director, of course, he's the director. He wants to do it his way too. So the fight changes. And then so he wants to. So there's one scene where sequence where I had to literally punch him, not punch him, but put my punch towards his face.
Yes.
And
You didn't move his face.
oh no, but he was supposed to block it, and so it's basically what's the right word for it? I had to go towards his face. I couldn't fake that. I had to make it work. I had to go towards his face, like a jab.
Yeah.
And so it was all him for him to block it. He basically block it with his two hands, push my punch down, and hit him in the chest instead. He would fall backwards over barrels. And that was it. So we did it in rehearsals. We did it a few times in rehearsals. Blah, 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 boom, boom. It went well.
With him.
No, with him. Yeah, with him.
Okay.
Sure. But filming, we did it a few times filming as well. Did a few takes. And then for one sequence, for some reason, he forgot the block. But it was too late for me, because in my mind, I had to win my jab, and I thought he was going to block it because, you go fast. When you jab.
Yeah.
But he didn't block. He forgot to block. And then, of course, I continued with the punch. It's not like I can, if it's too late for me to pull out.
Yeah.
I hit him right in the mouth.
Right in the mouth.
And I felt his mouth. I felt skin.
Oh.
And I thought, I knew I hurt him. He fell. He went down. He was still in character. He's such a method actor, the guy. So we weren't sure he was faking or not faking. Even the other guys, the background, the crew thought he was part of the choreograph. He was dragging himself. I remember there's tape of it too, but it will never go on.
We'll never see it.
No. But I just tape where I kind of follow him, trying to fucking sorry, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? I remember seeing blood coming out of his mouth.
Oh my
so
God.
I thought I broke. The worst thought I broke something.
Yeah.
Either a tooth, a nose, mouth, jaw, whatever. So I thought the worst. I thought my career is over. The movie's over because it's the lead actor.
Yes. Yes.
Of this big
He
time
can't be
movie.
injured for that
He's
long.
paid like $10 million to play that movie.
Punched out Iron Man.
Punch
Iron Man. Yes.
Well, that was the title in a lot of the newspaper on the internet. Stunt guy, former wrestler, punches out Iron Man.
Yeah.
This is funny.
Interesting.
But it went viral. It was okay. He just cut his mouth.
Yeah.
Inside of his lip.
Yeah.
We put some ice on it, and we finished the fight.
He blocked the next time.
No, he blocked. I don't remember. I don't think we skipped that sequence actually, but we did something else instead. But they took him to the hospital after we were done. They put 5 stitches.
Oh wow.
The next day, so I felt bad. It's not your fault.
Yeah. No.
But you felt bad.
Yeah.
Still, But the next day, they took him. Next day, I was in the makeup trailer, getting ready for the day. And he came in the trailer, put a gift bag, boom, and he left without saying a word. Okay, it was a bottle of champagne, and a card he wrote personally, saying, "Don't worry about it. Everything's cool. Let's finish the rest of the week." So it's very nice, very classy guy.
Very nice. He's a classy guy.
He's a cool guy.
Yeah.
I still have the bottle. I haven't drank it yet. I don't think it's good anymore, but I've put it on display at the Peter Center.
Nice.
But yeah, very cool. But it went viral.
Yes, I know.
It went internet and Entertainment Tonight.
Yeah.
My
Well, that's
family
where
and
I saw
friends
it.
got a good laugh out of that. But I did a lot of press for it. It was good press for me at the end.
Yes.
He was even mentioned in the Late Show with David Letterman.
Oh, really?
When Downey was on, he mentioned my name, mentioned the whole incident. So it was good overall at the end.
Oh.
Yeah.
So no. So I'm wondering now so now you're in the movies, but you're still living here. Like you
I do.
never decided to move from
No, I mean, I thought about it hard.
You did, huh?
Oh, for sure. If it was a better or more opportunities to live in Toronto, Vancouver, or LA, But being at home now, I can do my audition on my phone or my iPad. I can do it at home and send it off. So you can be an actor. Actors are like gypsies. You can live anywhere and around the world. If they want you, they'll fly you in. If they like you, if they want you for the role, they'll. Depends on the budget. Depends on the big.
So is that what you're doing now? Like, do you still have your full-time job?
My full-time job is still acting.
It's still acting.
It's still acting.
Because I know you're involved with the Pays de la Sagouine
in the summer.
in the summer.
In the summer, yeah. But what's cool about them what's great about them with the guys in Pays de la Sagouine is they know I'm an actor. So if I have a gig, I basically they'll close my door.
Okay.
They'll put they have a sign with my my silhouette, my
yeah,
postcard. If people take pictures with the with the card, with the mock-up. No, they're very cool about it, very supportive. They just have to let them know ahead of time what days I won't be there.
Okay.
So it's a very cool gig. It's very nice of them to do.
You got any scoop for us? Anything in the works?
You just finished a movie.
Well, I did. I did three. Oh my God! I did three things. I forget now. Four things. I worked on Umbrella Academy for Netflix.
Oh, really?
On an episode. It was a fight scene. It's a fight scene, stunt fight.
Yeah.
So I did Umbrella for the new season that's coming up. Had to meet Ellen Page for the first time. It was very cool. She's a Maritimer. She's from Halifax, originally. And what else? Oh, I did Becky, a movie called Becky, with Kevin James. As Mall Cop, right? Mall Cop.
Yeah.
But it's not a comedy. It's kind of an intense action thriller where we play villains. Kevin James is the lead villain. And we're kind of neo-Nazis, white supremacists type of villains. Not the nicest guys. We escape a prison bus and invade his home, this cottage, I guess, in the woods. So we have this family hostage. While this teenage girl escaped, she's outside of the home when we invade the family at her cottage. She hides in the woods. Her name is Becky. So the movie is Becky's is
So
the
how
title
many
of the
scenes
movie.
you have in that movie?
I'm a principal role.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm a principal role.
Excellent.
All my scenes are with pretty much all my scenes are with Kevin James. Yeah,
So is that's not out yet?
No, we filmed that 2 months ago. We're in Burlington, Ontario, and we're outside.
So
of
how long
Toronto.
was that from start to finish to do that gig?
About a month.
Just a month.
Yeah, it's an indie film. American, produced by Americans.
Yeah.
U.S. movie, but it's an indie film.
Okay.
Not a big budget.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
not
yeah.
a Sherlock Holmes budget,
Yeah.
but cool premise still. Great role. I had a great part, great cast, and fun. Just fun, beating the shit out of people. That's fun. It's kind of a Home Alone mix with Die Hard. Think about that.
Nice. I like
But
that.
I think Home Alone, not comedy.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
some
yeah.
humor, dark humor to it,
Yeah,
black
yeah.
humor. But it's fun. It's
And where we'll be able to see Becky?
on screen somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't know. They're trying to make it to the. They want to hit the film festivals first. Maybe Sundance. They wanted to. Sundance is in January, so they want to get the movie ready by then.
Yeah.
And then we'll see. We could go to cinema, theaters, or maybe Netflix. Who knows? Depends on the.
Yeah.
If it's.
And you said
This-
there was
this-
3 things you just finished.
Well, I did Jupiter. I worked a scene, another episode for a new series for Netflix called Jupiter's Legacy. It's based on graphic novels, I guess. It's kind of the premise of it is superheroes for adults, mature superheroes. Kind of a Watchmen vibe to it.
Yeah.
And it's a new series, big production. It's all shot in Toronto, but it's going to come out sometime next year. And I've seen in that one, kind of a mob boss. Very cool. 3-piece suit. Yeah, it's very cool.
Wow.
And then I worked on Titans as well. Netflix for Titans. Teen
Yeah, yeah.
Titans, Titans, they call it.
Yeah.
Again, with another thing with superheroes in it. But yeah.
You're a busy guy.
Well, Netflix is good. Netflix
Yes.
is good.
Netflix
Netflix
is
is
putting a lot
very
of
good.
content.
Yeah.
A lot of content. Well, not only Netflix, they got Amazon, and now
Yes.
Apple's in on it, and Disney,
Yes.
and Toronto is amazing. It's crazy busy. They're running out of space, so they're building studios. I worked in a studio for Jupiter's Legacy that's called basically Netflix Studios. So Netflix, they shoot a lot. They're just building more space and training more people to work as on the crew to work on those films. So it's very busy in Toronto, Vancouver. Not so much in Montreal lately, but I did stuff in Montreal. A couple of films in Montreal. Brick Mansion was the last one I did in Montreal.
Oh yes, Brick Mansion with
Paul Walker.
Yeah,
Paul Walker.
Paul Walker.
6 months. I worked with him for 6 months before he died.
Wow.
Yeah.
I had a chance to mingle with him, chance to know him for a few days. He was going to Well, at the time I was preparing to go to this Pacific Rim premiere in L.A. And so I told him about it, asking him about what the whole red carpet, what to expect.
Yeah.
Because he's a freaking veteran. He's a
Yeah,
movie
yeah,
star,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So, and he was going, of course, as we know now, he does own a company with luxury cars, right? Sports
Yes.
cars. Unfortunately, there's one of them he got killed with.
Yeah.
He was going to lend me one of his cars to drive around L.A. with my wife and I. He was going to lend me a car. I was like, okay. I didn't take up on this offer because the idea of driving in L.A., I drove in L.A. before. And
Would be scary, wouldn't it?
was. I wouldn't mind it, as my wife is a terrible passenger. She hates traffic in Moncton.
Oh my
Imagine
God!
in LA.
Yes, imagine
It would
that.
be too much for her,
Yeah,
too
yeah.
intense. And when we had 3 days there,
Yeah.
not a lot of times, so for most of it driving would not work. This half a day of driving around in LA traffic. So I think of it now. After he passed away, I wish I would have took the offer.
Yeah.
Knowing now, he was a cool guy. He's a good guy, handsome guy. He's very handsome. He was a handsome guy.
Yeah, yeah.
No, very nice,
My
very
wife
cool,
says
very
that.
talkative. No, and very so shocking when it happened. I thought it was a rumor. The
Yeah, yeah.
Facebook rumors,
Yeah, yeah.
deaf hoax and stuff.
Yes.
But when you realize it's really happened, that he really was dead, and how it happened, it's just
Yes,
so
that's
tragic.
crazy.
So it's very sad.
Crazy.
It was horrible.
I thought it was a joke because he died in a car accident. Wasn't it during taping?
No, well, during a hiatus.
But still,
It was
we're
filming Fast and Furious.
Yes.
It was during Thanksgiving break.
Gotcha.
During the hiatus.
Yeah.
Which he wasn't really supposed to do.
Yeah.
Because of insurance reasons. For insurance reasons, when you're working at a big movie like that,
Yeah.
you can't go skydiving, for
No,
instance, right?
no.
Extreme stuff
Yes.
for liability
Yes.
stuff. So I guess he wasn't supposed to do that.
So who are the nice guys and nice ladies you met doing movies?
Do you want to get me in trouble or?
No,
Nice
not that
ladies.
kind of trouble. But if you could do a movie with someone again, someone that you've met.
I like to work with Robert Downey again. I mean, all these people I worked with, Robert Downey or Antonio, all those guys. Antonio Banderas is a great guy.
Yeah, eh?
Amazing guy. Love them. Work with them again, but also actors I never worked with before that I love to work with. Of course, was more Arnold.
Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Of course, I would
The
love to.
Arnold. The
The Arnold.
Terminator.
When I say Arnold, there's only one Arnold.
There's only one Arnold.
No, I love to work with him. That would be in the bucket list. Because I followed his career from bodybuilding to movies.
Yeah.
So fucking working with him would be awesome.
The Governator.
Or working in
James
series.
Bond.
Well, yeah. So in the iconic series, which would be Bond, or Star Wars, or Indiana Jones, or Star
Yes.
Trek, whatever. Be part of something I grew up watching and be involved with it. Blew my mind when I was a big, huge WWF fan, and finally I was
Yes.
an employee of them.
Yes.
Even to this day, it's like
Yes.
Yeah.
so. Working with those big franchises would be cool.
Yes.
I did work with a Marvel movie, of course,
Yeah.
right? Deadpool.
How was working with
Awesome.
Ryan Reynolds? Like,
Yeah.
how was that?
Yeah. He's a busy guy. Busy. Because he's also a producer and writer in that movie. So he's always on the go. So first time I met him was a makeup trailer. Because you meet a lot of people that were actors on a makeup trailer. All right? They're sitting beside you. So you can chat with them. Say hi and introduce yourself. And they were working on Ryan with his Wilson
Yeah.
makeup thing. But you had to find the right time to say hi. He was kind of busy doing that, so I don't want to bother him. But on set, when we did the scene on set in the prison, he was there and he introduced himself and told him who I was and nice to meet you and all that. And so we had a short time with him. I wish I would have had more time with him. But the scenes we did in the movie where I punched the kid in the face, that was very funny. He ad-libbed. He basically threw out lines for the kid to say. We did 4 or 5 different takes and all different for the kids to say, to insult me, to get me pissed off from him to punch.
Yeah.
So a lot of them didn't make it on film, by the way. Some of them were funny. I took this fist out of my ass and punched, something like that. It's hilarious. He never made it to film. But he was a very funny guy. He's a very cool guy.
Yeah.
And when you picture rap, when you rap for a film, the PA, the assistant director, will announce it to the crew. Robert Maillet is wrapped for a picture wrap, and then people will applaud. And I remember Ryan Reynolds came up to me and shook my hands. Thank you very much. Because he owns the film. You know, he's one of the producers in the film, right? So thank you. So that's my image of Ryan Reynolds. Thank you for your time or for your work.
Will there be another Deadpool?
Oh, absolutely.
No, the serious
No,
question.
Deadpool 2 would make like a billion something, of course. Oh, yeah.
No, the serious question. Will ever Wolverine be with Deadpool?
Well, they've been teasing the hell out of it.
I know.
So it wouldn't surprise me if he would come back out of retirement to do it one time. I see that
That would be
happening.
awesome.
I see that
Hugh
happening.
Jackman?
Yes.
Wolverine?
Yes.
Fuck.
Oh yeah.
I thought it was done.
No.
Well, he's done. He said he was done.
Yeah.
But they kept teasing the whole
There's
feud,
yeah.
right? I can see that happening.
That would be awesome.
That would be awesome.
So we're getting towards the end of this, but I want before we wrap it up, I want you to talk a little bit about because you're a family guy and your family is very important. I mean, you have a movie career, but yet you still live in Saint Marty de Can, right?
Yeah.
And you live with your family. You have 4 daughters. What's your daily life like? I mean, I know you're involved with a lot of charities and that kind of stuff as well. So what's your daily life like?
Pretty mundane, pretty regular, pretty sometimes boring. Sometimes. I mean, I hit the gym. I go to the gym. I do chores around the house. You do chores when you're home. You do your part in the home. You got to maintain the house, clean stuff like that. Make dinner, make food. Take my daughter to dances, to appointments. I play Fortnite.
So
My daughter was a big thing for Fortnite, and I got hooked on that one. No, I love bicycling. Sometimes when the weather's nice, I bike.
Mountain bike?
I do have a mountain bike. It's the only bike I could fit on. It's a mountain bike. It's the biggest one they had at the Mike's bike shop. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a big one, so the only thing I could fit.
You like to cook? You cook?
Well, I cook.
Are you a good cook?
Cook to eat, to
Okay.
survive. So
All right.
I'm not a great cook. I do pasta stuff for the family. I do
Okay.
eggs and basic stuff. I wouldn't say I'm a chef. No.
Okay.
No. But I do feed home. Yeah, feed the family to make supper, lunch, stuff like that. What is this? Pretty much what and then charity. Well, I'm involved with the Tree of Hope, and this just got started last 2 weeks, so it's pretty busy right now with that. They got the radiothon in the end of November in Dieppe actually, and so I'll go to schools and talk to students and stuff like that. About the raising funds, about what's the whole thing is about, the Tree of Hope. So, but it's great when he asked me to be part of it. And I was never really involved in charities before, but this one was kind of I needed to be because of the whole cancer thing. My family suffered cancer. My relatives, my aunts, my uncles, even my dad had cancer. So of course, cancer affects everybody. And people everybody has a history of cancer. So, so for me, it was kind of cool to be part of that and lend my name to it. And when I go to schools, kids, they don't talk when I talk, which is kind of nice. They listen to me. Maybe I'm scared the shit out of them, but it's cool though. They do listen to me, which is nice.
So is there anything that you haven't achieved yet? Like, what's your?
I just want to continue acting.
Yeah.
It is tough though. I'm not in the level where. I'm not an A-list actor like Reynolds or those guys, the leading roles. I'm still a supporting role and still working my way through. It's not easy. I still audition. And every time I audition, you won't get it. All the parts you audition for, of course. And I audition a lot, and a lot of parts I didn't get. But some of you do get is amazing, worthwhile. It's a great opportunity.
How do you learn about the possible auditions?
Agent.
Your agent says, okay, so there's a part there, there's a part there.
Agent sends off. Agent knows what's going on.
Yeah.
In the industry, and what films and projects are coming up, and she'll bring the breakdown of the roles, and then something that would fit would be perfect for me.
Yeah.
So send out my demo reel, my CV, my resume, And then if they're interested, the casting office are interested, they want me to do an audition. So they'll send me a couple pages of the scene, and they'll have sometimes a day, 2 days, or 3 days, or 4 days to prepare. They have a deadline. Find somebody to help me tape, my daughter sometimes, or my friends. I'll memorize it and try to understand the character and do my best. Do the taping and send it off. Send it off to my agent, and then, that's how it goes. Sometimes you won't hear a thing about it.
Yeah.
Sometimes you do. When you do, they'll offer you a role, or they'll offer you a second audition, stuff like that. So it's fun. It's exciting, but it's like I said, it's you're busy, and then sometimes you're not. And
Yeah, peaks and lows,
Yeah.
peaks and valleys.
yeah.
What TV do you watch? What movies do you like?
I watch a lot of baseball lately, more than movies. It's funny enough. Movies, I love all genres of films.
Yeah.
It's funny though, I don't watch much movies as I used to. Maybe because of the time. I watch so many genres. And all the stories are the same, pretty much. After a while, they're all the same type. You have to really look into watching movies to see something different, something unique that sticks out, and you want to watch it. What did we see today? Oh, Ready or Not. It's an Indian film, a horror Indian film that came out with this. The family wants to kill the bride. That was kind of an original film. I want to see.
You saw that on Netflix or?
Theater actually.
Theater, okay.
But no, I like something different. That's kind of my eye, my intention. I did watch Rambo. I'm a big fan of Rambo.
The last Rambo?
I watched the last one.
I heard. Who told me? Was it
I
you?
was me.
I heard
It was
not
all right.
great things about.
No, it was all right. What you expect from a Rambo? I mean,
Well-
I like the previous one, Rambo 4,
Yes.
when it was in the. That was great. That was amazing. This one was all right. It was okay, but not his best one.
Yeah.
The first one is the best. The first
Yes.
one is a classic.
I've never seen Rambo.
I was. What?
I've never seen
know.
Rambo.
That's
I
why
know.
that was my reaction.
I know.
I was a fan of Game of Thrones. I watched the Game
Oh,
of
yeah,
Thrones.
eh? So were you one of those? I don't know how many millions or thousands of people who were disappointed in the ending.
I didn't mind it though. It was an amazing episode. The big twist, the twist when Daenerys turns, was like shocking. But that's the whole thing about that series, is to shock people.
Yeah.
So I thought that was part of the whole thing. I didn't mind that. Think about it now. I wish they would have a couple more episodes to lead it out more.
Okay.
But because I mean, she was supposed to be the savior, and then she turns right away.
Never watched it.
Huh?
Never watched it.
Never watched the series.
Never watched it. I know.
All the series I watched, you should try.
I tried it 3 times.
It is one of the best movies. It is a movie done in the series.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's amazing. You get engrossed in the story and the characters.
And now they're talking
It's
about
amazing.
spin-offs.
Oh yeah.
Well, they filmed the spin-off. They filmed the pilot, a prequel for it, and then there's supposed to all their ideas to shoot another series from the same world. Oh yeah, they'll cash stuff. There's a big milk cow there. But I knew a few actors I worked with. They worked on Game of Thrones actually. So that's my connection. 6
Yeah,
degrees
yeah.
of
So you're-
separation. I know actors who worked on Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Lena Headey, who played the Queen.
Exactly, yeah.
I work with her on Mortal Instruments, where she threw a frying pan in my face.
Wow.
Yeah, she
All
knocked me
good
out. She knocked me out. It's good times.
Good
Frying
times.
pans in the face.
Good times.
But that would be great to be part of that show. Yeah, it would have been great.
Yeah.
And you would fit right in. I mean, that's
Yeah.
the kind of.
Yeah, well, I would be. I would have been. I can see. I can put. I have roles they had, the characters that could have easily been played, for sure. But no, it's an amazing series, and it inspires other productions to do quality shows like that
Yeah,
for
yeah,
TV.
yeah, yeah.
You know, TV is the thing more
Well,
than
Robert,
movies.
for you, I'm going to try it a 4th time. I already tried starting it.
You know what
3
you
times.
do? You drink gin.
All right.
I did that with Scarface. You know Scarface?
Yeah, yeah.
Pacino.
Yeah.
At the time, it was 3 hours. Just, oh my God, when you're a teen, 3 hours is too long. So me and my buddy Eldon,
Oh yeah.
we bought a case of beer.
Yes.
So
Right.
after you get a buzz and you really get into the story, no, it's unbelievable. You get sucked in, and then you're immersed in that world, and 3 hours like that. So I say, buy a case of beer, watch the Game of
There you
Thrones
go.
for the whole series in
I'll
one
be
night.
drunk by the end of this of the 7th season.
That's good. So Robert, that's good. That's really good.
We broke a record. This is our longest conversation.
Yes.
Yes.
Can I go longer?
No, that's great. We love that.
Yes.
We always end with fun questions, or just random questions, we should say. So I have 3 questions, and then Anna has 3 questions. So I'll ask you from 1 to 3. Just choose a question. 1 to 3.
Okay. 3.
3. If you were asked to join an exploration crew to explore the universe, but could not come back, would you do it?
No.
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 Why not?
Our Earth is a nice place to be. It's a nice. So far, so good. I mean, it's probably not in 30 years, but so far, it's a beautiful place to be, and there's nowhere else to compare it to. I wouldn't want to go to Mars. Mars is a dead planet. There's
So
nowhere
far,
there.
yes.
So far, yeah.
There's no Star Trek
So far, no.
Star Trek inspirations for you,
No.
nothing like that.
I want to come back.
Yes.
Star Trek, they go beyond. They come back. True.
They always come back. That's true. All right. Okay, same for me, Robert.
All
1
right.
to 3.
Number 2.
Number 2. Number 2 is, we talked about it earlier. What is the best age?
The best age?
Yes.
Wow. The best age to be. That's an amazing question. I think my 40s. Well, so far. Hopefully, my 50s would be good, but my 40s was interesting. That's where I got my whole acting career going.
Yeah.
So I started to get some interesting roles, and you're a bit more mature. You know yourself. You know who you are more than when you were in your teens or 20s.
Yeah.
You know what to expect of you. You know your limitations or your strength. And so you're more confident. More relaxed, I would say.
Yeah.
And self-confidence. That's what wrestling gave me. Wrestling gave me some self-confidence and helped a lot to get into the acting thing.
I think your 50s will be amazing.
Well, thank
I
you.
have that prediction.
Thank you. I hope
Yes.
so. 60s, I don't know. We'll see. Can't think about that.
We'll do another podcast on you
When
you
you're
turn
60.
60. Yeah.
All right.
This has been fabulous.
This has been great.
Well, I
This
hope you
has
enjoyed our
been- yes.
conversation.
Yes,
If you
very
did,
generous.
you could do us a big favor and share with your friends or rate us wherever you listen to this
Yes, sir.
podcast.
Another one wrapped up.
Until
Our goal
next
is
time.
truly to highlight
All
the
right.
Maritimes,
Thanks,
and we
Robert.
can
Thank
only
you,
do
Robert.
this with your help.
Denis, thank you.
If you didn't like our
All right.
conversation, well,
Bye.
Bye.
what's the matter with you? Nah, just kidding. Our motto is one day better. That means we always want to be one day better than we were yesterday. So leave us a comment on Facebook and tell us how we can be better. We'd appreciate it, and we might even read your comment on our next podcast. Thanks for listening, and remember, look at everyone like they have something to teach you. See you next time.